Excuse me, everybody, if you can all start heading towards your seats, we're going to get started. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our humble abode. Before we begin, I'll have us all rise if you're able to, and I'll have Representative Edmonds lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So before we begin, just a few housekeeping details. If anybody needs to use the restrooms, when you go out, you turn to your right and go through the doors, and the restrooms are on your right side. If you haven't seen it already, we have some coffee and some other drinks and some snacks over here on my left. And so with that, I'm going to ask my board members to introduce themselves. We'll start at the far end with Ms. Branch.
Thank you. I'm Gloria Branch, and I'm the board member for District 5, which is all of Boca Raton.
Ms. Whitfield.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Erica Whitfield. I represent downtown West Palm all the way down to Delray, all of Palm Beach Island out to Military. Thank you. Welcome, everyone.
And good morning, everyone. I'm Marcia Andrews, School Board Member District 6 for the Western communities, starting at Lantana and the Turnpike, and as far west as you can go, to Canal Point, to Belglade, South Bay, and everything in between. Welcome.
Mr. Ferguson?
Oh, good morning. Edwin Ferguson, District 7. I cover parts of 7 cities, starting in Riviera Beach and kind of meanders down to East Delray.
Good morning, buenos dias. Virginia Savieto with District 2. My district is actually, we're sitting on it. Welcome to my district. Palm Beach, I have Green Acres, Palm Springs, unincorporated West Palm Beach, and the city of West Palm Beach. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matt Lane, and I represent North County, and my district starts at Blue Heron and goes all the way up to the county line.
And finally, I am Karen Brill. As you know, I'm the chair. My district is District 3. I call myself the unincorporated board member because, and if you think of it, I'm COBRA, I'm the Alliance of Delray, I'm a little bit of West Boca Community Alliance, and a teeny tiny piece of Green Acres. But I have a rectangular district. I'm going west from Military Trail, and because we always built our schools in the beginning east, I have the least number of schools. So you see me all over the place. So with that, I'm going to ask the delegation to introduce themselves, and I will, thank you.
Thank you. And until Rep. Skidmore comes, I was asked to ask our delegation to introduce ourselves. So if we could start with Representative Gerwig. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ann Gerwig. I represent District 93, which is south of Southern and to Sherwood Forest Boulevard on the east. So parts of all of Wellington, parts of Green Acres, a little tiny bit of Royal Palm Beach, and some unincorporated Palm Beach County. I'm proud to be here. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Senator Tina Polsky, representing District 30. I am just left now with a small part of Palm Beach County, southern half of Boca Raton, and I have a larger portion of Northwest Broward that makes up District 30. Happy to be here.
Good morning. I'm Senator Lori Berman. I represent District 26. It is half of Boca Raton, Delray Beach, Boynton Beach, the cities on the coast, Highland Beach, and going up Briny Breezes and the village of, well, I actually have the village of Gulf, and then I go over Ocean Ridge also, go over, and I take in a lot of unincorporated as well as the city of Wellington and Belglade and South Bay. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Gervonta Edmonds. I'm proud to serve House District 88, which encompasses Lake Park, Riviera, West Palm Beach, Mangonia Park, and Royal Palm Beach. Also here with me is my legislative assistant, Rama Sarkar. Thank you all so much for having me.
Good morning. I really thought I was 20 minutes early, not 10 minutes late, so my apologies. I'm Kelly Skidmore. I represent District 92, which is unincorporated portions of Palm Beach County in Boca Raton, Delray Beach, and Boynton Beach, so no municipalities for me. Today I have my legislative aides, Gwen Gonzalez and Amy Chamberlain.
Good morning. My name is Deborah Tendridge, and I represent District 89, and welcome to my district. I represent Central Palm Beach County, so Lake Worth, Lake Clark Shores, Palm Springs, Green Acres, Atlanta, West Palm. I have Atlantis. I also have Glen Ridge and Cloud Lake, and I hope I didn't miss anyone. My office staff, my team is at the office working, getting ready for committee weeks next week.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And so now, before I turn it over to the superintendent, we have not done this in a while. So for those who have never participated in one of our joint meetings, if you have any questions, all you need to do is just turn your card like that, and you will be recognized. So with that, I am going to turn the meeting over to our fearless leader, Superintendent Michael Burke.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. We really appreciate your time. I was going to give a relatively brief presentation, kind of give you an update on the state of our school district, and then take you through our legislative priorities, which our board has workshopped 2 times, voted on and approved, and so we're all prepared for the upcoming session. Before I jump in, I have a quick video. You know, we are a school district, and our school year is off to a great start, so I wanted to share this quick video just to kind of show you how the first day of school went, which is always very exciting for all of us.
Good morning, welcome. First day of school.
Hugs and happy faces across the school district of Palm Beach County on the first day of the 2025-2026 school year. Our A-rated district is celebrating success and looking toward the future. Saddleview Elementary School opened its doors to the Western Palm Beach County community. Our 183rd school brings a new energy to the area as the Colts look to make their mark.
I'm really proud of this school. It's got curb appeal, it's functional, it's got state-of-the-art equipment, technology, just well designed, and Principal Ross has put all the extra details into it.
Ready? Winbrook Elementary in West Palm Beach welcomes students to its new modernized campus. The school also went up from a B to an A. Also bumping up to achieve an A this year, the Chiefs of Santa Lucia's Community High School, Pine Grove Elementary, and Pahokee Elementary. Pine Jog Elementary jumped 2 grades to get its A.
They have to line up together.
Along with Rosenwald Elementary School, where the outstanding achievement is the talk of the town in South Bay.
Teachers as well as my students, not only are we excited, but they're highly motivated to want to repeat the same process over again.
The first day is filled with new opportunities, a fresh start for teachers to make an impact, and students to shine. That energy will carry through this school year to educate, affirm, and inspire every student. That's why the school district of Palm Beach County is your best choice.
All right, I could probably stop right there. But anyway, it was a great first day. You could see all of our board members and myself. We were out and about. We tried to visit as many schools as possible, and we've had good positive momentum. The school year is off to a smooth start, and we're moving right along. We're already past the first quarter. I do want to take a minute just to welcome Representative Peggy Gossett-Seidman. Thank you for joining us here today. Would you like to just tell the group where you, the portion of the county you represent for us?
Yes. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm Southeast Palm Beach County, Boca Raton, Highland Beach, District 91, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. You've met my bosses. These are, of course, our 7 school board members, and our mission has not changed. That's to educate, affirm, and inspire each student in an equity-embedded school system. And I'm really fortunate. I'm going in my 5th year as superintendent, and that actually makes me one of the elder statesmen across Florida superintendents, and that would not be possible without a school board that really supports me, and they always put our children first, and that's what keeps us all on the same page. We are a big district. We're 10th largest in the nation. We're only 5th largest in Florida, which just shows you how big the Florida districts are. But you heard in the video with the opening of Saddle View, we're up to 183 schools. Our school food service is the biggest restaurant in town. We serve over 35 million meals a year with breakfast and lunch. Nearly 23,000 employees in our workforce, serving about 170,000 students from pre-K through 12th grade. And we're really proud to have our own fully accredited school police department. That police department's actually been around for 50 years, but it's grown substantially in the past several years. And it is like I said, it's fully accredited, and they go through the same accreditation process as any other law enforcement agency in the state. And they went through their most recent one back in May, and they achieved the highest rating you can possibly get of Excelsior. So it's onward and upward for our school police department. Just some highlights. You heard we were A-rated. We're really proud of that. We work hard to keep our A rating. Featured in the picture there is Pine Jog, which you may have caught in the video. They went from a C to an A, which is a pretty incredible jump in one school year. That's the principal there in the pretty pink dress, Ms. Rachel Thomas. Our district has also been recognized as a high-performing school district, and we're one of just 13 school districts to receive that designation. So 13 out of 67 are high-performing. We are one of them. And then 44 of our schools were designated recently by the Florida Department of Education as schools of excellence. So we're proud of that. And we have no D or F schools in Palm Beach County that are run by our district. So we're proud of that, too. Thank you. Just a few more stats. So across our district, 71% of schools are A or B, which means we've got 29% Cs that we're working to raise up to an A or B. We really want to make sure we're providing kids all opportunities, whether it's rigorous academics, athletics, the fine arts, all that. So I do like to focus, or highlight that we had 13 state championships in Palm Beach County last year. And that picture there shows you the West Boca Raton Bulls. They were your Class 6A football champs. And then our graduation rate at 95.9% in our district high schools is the highest of the urban 7 school districts in the state of Florida. So this, I wanted to real quick, we had a big issue, and many of you helped us with it last year. We were very concerned. There was a proposal to reduce the funding for college-level courses in our high schools. So the Advanced Placement, International Baccalaureate, ACE, and that's something we've really done well with in Palm Beach County. We've really grown those programs. And so this chart just shows you, we want all of our kids taking rigorous academics. And that really starts in elementary school with advanced math or accelerated math. And then at middle school, we consider it accelerated if you're a middle school student taking a high school level course. And you can see over the past 5 years, that's grown from 73 to 93% of middle schoolers taking at least one high school level course. That's usually algebra. And then at the high school level, we've grown from 55% in 22 to 71% of currently of our high school students taking at least one college level course. And that's allowing our students, a lot of them, to earn, 2,810 students last year graduated eligible for a full Bright Future Scholarship. And if you just quantify the value of that, if those students stay the course and go through 4 years of college, that's about $71.5 million in Bright Future Scholarships. We also are, career technical education is important to us. We had 21,000 plus students take an industry certification exam with 75% of them passing last school year. And then the table there just shows you how the number of ACE diplomas has grown here in Palm Beach County. We are the leader in North America with the ACE program. And again, all those ACE diplomas generate a Bright Future Scholarship. And then, of course, we have the advanced placement and the advanced placement capstone grads. That has grown as well. Dual enrollment, we have a great partner in Palm Beach State College, and last class of 25 had 130 of our graduates that graduated not just with a diploma, but also with their 2-year associate's degree from Palm Beach State. Some of the leaders in that space are listed there: John Laird, Wellington High, Seminole Ridge, and we calculate that 2-year degree for those 130 grads saved their families almost $3.5 million in tuition. So they're getting value out of that. On November 5th, our school board's going to have a big workshop on choice and career technical education. This is a major priority for our board and a major area of focus where we want to make sure that as our middle school students transition to high school, they have a plan and they're on a pathway to a high-wage job here in Palm Beach County. And so a lot of that, the majority will still be, heading to college, but we also want to make sure we're offering other programs, partnering with Palm Beach State College on dual enrollment, 2-year degrees, and also programs that they can go straight into the workforce, through apprenticeships and different trades. So I just highlight some of the major areas here, and these are all, strong job sectors in Palm Beach County, from IT and engineering, construction, hospitality and tourism, healthcare, law, finance and business. We are Wall Street South now, and that's bringing a lot of finance and technology jobs. And I highlight the logos across the bottom is because one of the things we're working on is for all of our choice programs, particularly in the high school level, we'd like to have a strong business partner to complement that program. And we've been really fortunate. We have White's Construction that partners with our Construction Academy at Seminole Ridge. Jupiter Medical Center teams up with Jupiter High School with their medical programs. And you're going to see that hopefully continue to grow here in Palm Beach County. Okay, just a shot of fiscal reality. Florida is lean in terms of education funding. So we always present this chart. Currently, based on the most recent data available through the National Center of Education Statistics, Florida ranked 46 in the country out of the 50 states. And you can see Palm Beach there is highlighted in red. And then the other thing in the little box here, I just want to highlight, we've been really fortunate in Palm Beach County to have the support of our voters. So we have a referendum in place that provides more operating revenue. And when we factor that in, it actually elevates Palm Beach County. If we were to be our own state, we'd be about 37th in the country. And that's considerable movement. It makes a big difference in what we're able to offer in terms of fine arts and choice programs and to pay our teachers a little better here in Palm Beach. We have more competition than ever, and we understand that, and we feel like we have to live up to our motto to be your best choice and make sure that families still seek us out for their children's education. And we continue to serve over 3/4 of the students in Palm Beach County in our district-operated public schools. So 78% to be precise. That just shows you we've got about 12% going to charter schools, and then, 10% in charter schools, and then with the vouchers, the Florida Family Empowerment Scholarships, that's relatively new in the last couple of years, and they're serving about 12% of the students. So moving on to our priorities. I'm not going to read every word on the page. I'll try to highlight, I think the areas, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about these. But, of course, safety is our highest priority now, above academics. We have to first be safe before we can do anything. I mentioned earlier our school police department. That's a big part. But we take a multi-layered approach to school safety, and it takes funding. We spend about 3 times the amount we receive through the Safe Schools categorical, and part of that referendum makes that possible. So we welcome any additional funding in the way of security that would help get the state funding more in line with what the actual needs are. And then a couple things that we're doing that we are, human trafficking is becoming a major concern, and our board, we're working right now, our chair has asked us to put some signage up in our restrooms just to alert students, and if they feel like they may be a victim of trafficking or they know someone where to reach out for help. And we feel like that might be a worthwhile initiative for the legislature to consider. And I know the legislature passed last year training for all of our employees. So the Department of Education is creating that training, and that's expected to come out in December. So this remains a concern on the safety front. And then the other kind of emerging issue was with the vaccination requirements. We recommend that we maintain the current state statute, which is listed there, 1003.22, and maintain those current vaccination requirements in our public schools. Students, you're going to see a common theme here of where basically we're looking for more funding. And that really is across the board, whether it's for students with disabilities or English language learners, the career technical education, workforce education programs we want to expand. And then that bottom bullet there, to maintain the performance bonus funding, that's the one I talked about earlier with those advanced placement ACE courses. We really kind of sweated out that potential 50% reduction, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to, that as that was restored through the budget process, that'll continue to remain in place. Teachers and staff, we'd like to be able to pay our teachers better. And we are at the bargaining table right now, and it's to be quite honest, it's not going that well. So in last year's budget, the state, was able to provide $100 million through the teacher salary increase categorical. And $100 million, that in my personal life, that sounds like a big number. I'd love to have it. But when you take $100 million and spread it across our 67 districts, our share is $6 million. And with a large district, 13,000 teachers, that $6 million only provides a 0.6% raise. And we know inflation's at 3%, so we're trying to do better. We're doing everything we can do to put a good competitive package on the table, but we could use more help when it comes to funding teacher salaries. And then that last bullet is we are also working to grow our own teachers, and we've got some good programs we're proud of where we have employees that already have a 2-year college degree. We're helping them go back to school and actually work in the classroom while they're getting the rest of their education. And I know the state has various initiatives to try to address that teacher shortage, so we welcome that help. Finance, again, it's a lot about money here, but one of the key components of funding education in Florida is the required local effort. That's the biggest component of our millage, and that gets set each year through the legislative process and the state budget. And we'd ask that in recent years, the legislature and the governor have allowed that RLE to kind of grow with the property values, and that's been very helpful in bringing funding into education, and we need it. So we'd like that to continue. We are paying close attention to some of the proposals. I know there's a push to put a question on the ballot next November to potentially reduce property taxes. The House, I believe, has unveiled 8 proposals, and I was really glad to see that school taxes were exempted from all of those proposals. And that made me feel much better, because I think there's just a reality that public education in Florida is heavily dependent on property tax, and I don't know what we would do without it. On the curriculum side, we are struggling to keep up with the cost of instructional materials, textbooks. And so we used to have categorical funding that got rolled into base student allocation. We still have the requirements to do the new textbook adoptions, but we get roughly about $15 million for textbooks, and these scheduled adoptions that the state requires us to go through can easily cost twice that amount, $30 million or more. So that's becoming a bigger challenge each year. And then we have a new proposal for you. We were happy to see last year the legislature approved a law that would allow marching band to substitute the PE requirement. And that makes sense. I know our marching bands, they spend a lot of time marching around, preparing for the football games, getting their exercise. And we also have students, and Chair Brill, I believe you brought this to our attention, that participate in the Special Olympics. And we feel like that rigorous physical activity within Special Olympics could also be considered maybe as a substitute for the PE requirement. So we're proposing that. And then pre-K, we have a half-day pre-K VPK program in Florida. We'd like to see that be a full-day program. We know that VPK works. In Palm Beach County, the students that go through a VPK program, 72% of them are school-ready. And overall, you see basically about 50% kids that are considered kindergarten-ready. And the students that have that high-quality VPK program, they start school, they're not behind, they're ready to go, and they're on a much easier pathway to success. Schools of Hope, this is getting a lot of attention in news. This one, we were very concerned on many fronts about Schools of Hope. First, just the logistical challenges of potentially having 2 schools running on the same campus, things like the bell schedule, things like discipline if the students intermingle and there's any fights or any bad behavior, but just a lot of challenges logistically. But then probably the biggest concern is the financial hardship it could bring to our district schools and our students, because what it eventually was passed kind of in the 11th hour through the budget process is that Schools of Hope can come in and co-locate into our schools at virtually no cost. And we're required to serve them, feed them, transport them, clean up the school after they're gone for the day. And that could actually diminish the resources left for the students that we're serving. So this is a concern for us. We do not have a lot of schools that should be potential targets for Schools of Hope, but there are some. And again, we're hoping the legislature would kind of revisit this issue to see if it could be more equitable. If the prior legislation did provide that districts could negotiate and recover their expenses for those charter schools that are housed on their campuses, and we think that is more fair. Just some miscellaneous items. Tri-Rail, this is a big one for us in Palm Beach County, and you may have read that in the paper that the funding for Tri-Rail is in jeopardy, and we rely on Tri-Rail to transport students to Dreyfus School of the Arts and Bach Middle School of the Arts, because we have county-wide choice programs, so we have students that are coming up from Boca riding the Tri-Rail. They can jump off there very close to Dreyfus. We run buses from the stations to get students to the school, so we're paying close attention to that, and if that were to go away, it would create some real challenges for us to continue those county-wide programs. And then housing's a big issue. I'm sure we talk about that every year, but we would support anything that would help affordable housing for our employees and our teachers. And then we've got two special state appropriation requests you're going to see coming forward. We have West Tech, which West Tech had been closed for about 10 years, and Ms. Andrews had really championed in the Glades community reopening West Tech. It's been a great success. We continue to add more programs. We have a CDL program out there. It's now a certified state CDL testing site. So students, adult students, adult students can go through that program, get their license, get tested, and get a well-paying job, in the trucking industry. We've got other programs we'd like to add, so we are going back asking for that special appropriation. And then we also have one for Roosevelt, where we've had some success in the last couple of years getting some additional support for Roosevelt. Roosevelt Elementary is in downtown West Palm Beach. The students they serve it's a very low socioeconomic community, and we're trying to do more to elevate that school, and we've had some success. They rose from a D to a C this year. We've implemented a project-based learning program, a music program, and the community with Wall Street South and some of the community business leaders have expressed interest in trying to help us elevate those schools. So we got some support for this appropriations request from Mr. Stephen Ross. And then just wanted to remind everyone here in Palm Beach County that by law we have to go back to our voters every 4 years to continue this 1 mil levy that's allowing us to pay our teachers more. This funds what we call our referendum supplements, where teachers get paid based on their experience. For 1 year of experience, their salary goes up $1,000. At 5 years, that increases to $5,000, and then at 10 or more years, it's $10,000 a year added to their salary. And I can tell you, most of our teachers are getting that $10,000, and this additional money raises our average teacher salary in Palm Beach County to just under $70,000. We're at $69,000 and change. If this were to not be approved, that average salary would fall about $8,000, just to show you the impact. So this is critically important to us. Beyond teacher pay, it pays for our fine arts and choice programs. So we have 900 full-time teacher positions funded through this referendum. And then we have safety and mental health initiatives that this first went to voters in 2018, and it was in the wake of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas tragedy. So we utilized this referendum to really shore up. We added a behavioral health professional to every school, and we brought in some more security measures. It's been well supported. It went to the voters in 2022, and I was really pleased to see 74% of the voters voted yes. So we hope we enjoy that same support in November of 2026. And it's just kind of interesting that we know we're going to have our question on the ballot. The board has already approved it. It's going to the County Commission November 18th, and then it'll go on to Ms. Wendy Link, the Supervisor of Elections. But we will, we're also expecting some type of state constitutional amendment that could potentially be on there to reduce property taxes. So we're going to be working hard to make sure everyone understands the value and what this is doing for our schools, and it's also shared with our charter schools. So that's big. And I appreciate your attention. I know that was a lot. I wanted to try to move through at a good clip and make sure we had plenty of time for you all to have some joint discussion. So thank you, Madam Chair.
So before we move on, excuse me, I want to welcome Representative Meg Weinberger and ask Representative Weinberger to tell everybody what area you represent.
Oh, there you go. Red is on.
Okay, there we go. Meg Weinberger, I represent District 94, which is Southern Boulevard to Jupiter Farms, and then all the way, or to Indiantown, and then from the Turnpike all the way to the Glades.
Thank you. So, Vice Chair Representative Skidmore, do you want to start asking your members what questions they may have for us and for the superintendent?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members and senators, questions? If you have questions, remember to move your name card. Senator Berman. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for that excellent presentation, Superintendent Burke, and thank you for the work that you're doing. I'm glad we have such a great collaborative relationship, and I do have quite a few questions about the presentation. So my first question, as you know, in the past I have brought bills asking the state to have free lunch and breakfast programs for all students. So I wondered I think I've heard there were some potential changes, so can you describe what is going on with the breakfast and lunch program in Palm Beach County?
Yes, great question. So we've been really proud. For the last few years, we've been able, through the Community Eligibility Program, to provide free breakfast and lunch across all of our schools. And we can maintain that this year with the exception of 3 charter schools because they did not qualify. And it's kind of a complex issue. We would like to see that continue as long as possible, but next year it's probably going to look a little different because we are, to do that community eligibility program, you have to have enough families within your county qualify for food assistance, and those numbers are starting to drop. And so, before this, we had to have each individual family apply for free or reduced lunch. And we're going to have to go back to that to some extent next year, but it's going to be school by school. So the vast majority of our schools' numbers are still strong enough. There's still so much financial need that we can still qualify them as CEP. But for those schools that do not qualify, like the 3 charter schools that will, in December, we will no longer be able to serve them for free, those schools, it'll be down to the individual family to go back, fill out that application, and it was nice when we could say 100% of everything is free. It eliminate any potential stigma, and we have ways to work around that too, where we use the cash register. We try not to make it noticeable, but it's been great to enjoy that free breakfast and lunch for all. But with the eligibility slipping and the funding slipping a little bit, we're not going to be able to maintain that forever.
Thank you for that answer. Okay, on a different, but it's actually somewhat related. I understand across the state, and what I've read, including in Palm Beach County, there has been lower enrollment in the schools. So could you explain about that? And also, if you know any reasons why. I've been hearing that part of it is that some of the immigrant students are afraid to come to school. So if you could explain why there is lower enrollment in Palm Beach County now.
Yes, this is one of our biggest challenges, and each year we work with the state to forecast our enrollment. And based on the state forecast and even in our own forecast, we kind of do it collaboratively. We were projected this year to be down 400 students. And then we got to our 11th day of school, and we were down 5,500. And then just recently, we did the October FTE survey, and we slipped another 400 or so. So we're down about 6,000 students. So, the first thought is, okay, what happened with the family empowerment scholarships? Did we lose all of our students to vouchers? No, that's not the case. We did lose some. And we were able to go back, and we can look at students that we were serving that now receive a voucher, and that was over 1,300. So out of 6,000, I can document basically at least 1,300 went to family empowerment scholarships. But, that still leaves a very big number. We've kind of broken it down. We've looked at, we disaggregate our students. And one of the things that was really striking is historically Palm Beach County had been growing in the number of students that our ELL students where English is not their first language. And we could grow from 3,000 to 4,800 students a year in ELL. This year we actually dropped 1,600. So there was fewer, where normally we'd see a rise, we actually saw a decline. I do think the immigration policies have a lot to do with that. We feel like families have maybe self-deported or left Palm Beach County. And we're also, I have to also acknowledge our cost of living. Like, it's not all immigration. Like, some of it's just cost of living. I've heard those kind of, I don't have a lot of hard data, but anecdotally we notice that some families just can't afford the rents any longer. And they may be moving to other parts of the state or other states. But our biggest concern is students that might still be in Palm Beach County but just not going to school. So we've had schools working hard to re-engage our families, to reach out, actually knock on some doors. And in some cases they're finding where the families have just left. And then I can't put a number on it, but we do feel like that's an issue. Ms. Savieto and I are going to be meeting with our Hispanic pastors across Palm Beach County on November 10th. We're trying to just stress the importance of coming to school. Attendance has been a challenge since the pandemic, but we're working hard to try to get everyone into our schools that are still here in Palm Beach County, because we know it's doing the kids a disservice. There is some fear with the commute back and forth to school, and we can't guarantee anyone's absolute protection. What I do tell our parents and our pastors is that when the students are on our campus, and this is the case with any situation with law enforcement, we're not just going to turn our students over to any agency or that might show up. We've instructed our principals that if someone's to visit our schools, to pull them aside, ask them for their paperwork if there's a warrant, to immediately call our school police department and our Office of General Counsel so we can evaluate those warrants. And then we have not had any of those situations yet here, but we're prepared if that were to arise.
I do have a lot of questions. I'll ask a few more, and then I'll let my colleagues come in. But with regard to that, when you just mentioned that about the warrants, does that apply on school buses also? The same?
Yes.
Okay, good.
If a student's with us, whether it's in the school or on a bus or on a field trip, we are like local parentis. They are under our protection.
And just going back to what you said about the voucher program, do we also keep information about how many students leave a voucher school like mid-year and then return to our public schools? And do we have those kinds of numbers?
No. I guess the short answer is no. It's a challenge for us. And, last year there was some legislation to try to bring, I think, some more accountability and systems to the voucher program. That's still needed. I know it didn't get passed last year. We'd like to see that. The state, I can tell you, is taking measures to try to reduce the number of what we call duplicate students. So last year we had about 25,000 students that were showing up with Step Up for Students, getting voucher money, but also showing up on a school record. So going into this school year, DOE is basically sending us a list of students to cross-check. Okay. And we started, I think, in August with like 22,000 across the state, and through our efforts, that got whittled down to like 17,000. But it's still a challenge, and that's where I think it's going to be a very important issue that hopefully the legislature can return to this year, just to make sure people aren't getting double funded, because the money's already lean, and that double funding did hurt us last year. Because of the 25,000 duplicate students, school districts get paid once a month. Our June wire transfer was basically shorted about $3 million because the state kind of ran out of money. There was more students than they counted on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Representative Edmonds, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Superintendent Burke, school board members, you all are doing phenomenal. I love bragging about my district in Tallahassee. Honestly, I do. There was a slide that talked about industry exam certifications, and I saw that we were at 75%, which is good. What challenges are we facing in that area to increase that percentage?
Yeah, I mean, we're 75% it's strong. Like if you compare it to other counties, we are kind of like a leader in that space. But we do get a little extra funding through the industry certification, so it allows us to put some supplies and things into the classroom. It's with these, as we want to grow our career technical education programs, one of the challenges is making sure our teachers are trained and have the expertise. because with some of these areas in the trades, if you're specialized in cybersecurity or even plumbing, you can command a pretty good salary in the private sector. So that's one of the challenges, is having the faculty that can teach those courses, have the knowledge, expertise, and be willing to do it for a teacher salary. And we get lucky sometimes because we can find people that are later in their careers, or maybe some of that work's physically demanding. And, you get to my age, you're thinking, hey, maybe it's be better to be in the classroom. So that works out sometimes. But I would say just really doing everything we can to develop our teachers so they can be the most effective in the classroom with our students. And I will say, I'm proud of Team Palm Beach also, and at 75%, they're doing pretty good. If you look at those college-level courses, that pass rate's about 71, 72%. So it's actually doing even a little better on the technical side.
Understood. And I think we're doing phenomenal. 2 more questions, Madam Chair. I wanted to know, how is the cell phone banning policy working out for K through 8? And I know we were supposed to make maybe special carve-outs for those who may be caregivers or had a medical condition, but I never saw the complete list, so I just wanted to know.
Knock on wood, it's gone very smooth. It's been a good thing. We follow the state law, so cell phones are banned in our elementary and middle schools, and at the high schools we still allow it outside of the instructional time. But I think when something becomes law, it made it really just easier for us to implement, because there's not a whole lot of debate, But from what I've heard from our school leaders and our teachers, is they welcome it, and it's gone well. And it seems like you kind of struck a balance with the high school students that may have more going on in their personal lives after school with a job or whatever, so they still have some access to their phones. So I feel like you kind of struck the right balance, and it seems to be working for us.
Good. Last question, Madam Chair. And I had a meeting with all the school principals in Tallahassee about 2 weeks ago, so I'm going to try my best to articulate what they were trying to tell me. He was trying to tell me about fire alarm drills and how we do them. In particular, we have one entry access points for high schools. If there is a fire alarm pulled, the kids would run in that direction. So they were trying to articulate, are we setting ourselves up for failure if there's like a school shooting and that situation was to occur? And so we may want to look at how we deal with fire alarms drills.
Yes, unfortunately, fire alarms have been misused in those tragic events where someone has pulled the alarm, or the smoke, like in Stoneman Douglas. I toured that building 12 where the tragedy took place, and part of the issue was from the gunfire and the dust that was shaking down from the ceiling tiles that activated the fire alarms. And so, based on the fire code, you hear a fire alarm, you're supposed to immediately start the drill. Due to those tragedies, we've told our school leaders to kind of first look around, doing a little assessment before you execute the drill. So, we're forcing it. We're kind of going a little outside of the fire code, but we feel like it's wise to take a little time to assess the situation and make sure that there's not something nefarious going on the campus before we potentially march our students out into harm's way. Thanks.
Thank you. Representative Gerwig, you're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for recognizing me, Madam Chair. A couple questions, if I may. The first question is, how has the start time bill requirements gone? When we requested an allowance for, hey, we did our best, we had a conversation with our parents, and then we required this data back. How much time did it take you to produce that data, and how is that process working for you?
It's working very well, and again, thank you for supporting that and sponsoring that legislation. We were very concerned. That law would have taken effect this upcoming July 26th, and so now with the new legislation, we're able to submit a plan that allows us to keep our current school start times, is what the vast majority of our community wanted. We were kind of ahead of the game, because as we were preparing to deal with that issue, we got a lot of community input. We did a lot of analysis, and so really it's kind of just taking some of that work that we had done to get the community input and to demonstrate the challenges. We can now kind of bundle that up and submit that to the state as our plan. We're taking advantage of that flexibility the law affords, and we just, again, greatly appreciate your consideration in making that happen, because it would have been, I think, incredibly disruptive for most of our schools and families.
Just a couple more, thank you. I want to thank you, Ms. Andrews, for what you did with West Tech. I graduated from high school from North Shore High with a certificate from North Tech Education Center when I graduated high school, so it made me marketable and able to support myself right out of high school, and I know the benefit that that brings, so I want to thank you for the work out there, and let me know if there's anything I can do to help smooth any of that along and keep that going in our community. So that counts as my second question, but it wasn't a question. I want to talk about...
Comments are welcome as well.
Okay. Well, we're pretty strict in Tallahassee about questions. If you're asking a question, it has to be a question, or you get your hands slapped, or rulers come out, or something happens up there different. So I want to ask about the safety at Woodlands Middle. I mean, we had an incredible tragedy there, and I know that everyone in this room is aware of it, and we all feel the number one priority. You're right, Mr. Superintendent, that the most important thing is for our children to be safe, and I'm working on a way that we can look at schools to make sure that that is accomplished right out of the gate, so that we don't have something happen like what happened there. So any input you have on that, I'm going to be working on trying to do Landon's Law, which says anytime you have a 4-lane roadway with that kind of warrant of traffic, divided median, a bike lane, which is for adult use, not for students, and then directly no grass strip sidewalk. I think the lack of a grass strip in between the sidewalk and the curb probably had a significant impact on that situation. So whatever impact your school can give me, your schools, we want to make sure that doesn't happen ever again. And if we can get ahead of it, it's a difficult one to champion because it's going to be different across the state how it occurs, but I think it's important for us to all think about the roadway uniqueness that happens, that it makes it difficult for our schools. So do you have any input on that?
Just say, I agree. We've been in touch with the family that lost a young man. I've got my Chief Operating Officer, Joe Sanchez, and our Chief of School Police, Sarah Mooney. So as a follow-up, we're aware of the issue, and I'll just follow up in writing if we have any suggestions. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of implications for not just, for the county and cities. I mean, that's going to impact multiple agencies, but we would welcome, more safety measures.
Excuse me, if I may jump in.
Please.
So the county's working on its transportation plan right now, also the countywide transportation plan. I happen to chair a group that oversees that plan with the municipalities in the county. I will bring that up also at their meetings as we're looking at the county roads, because it's imperative. They're also working with FDOT, but I think that we can also address that on a local level. And so I would be happy as the school board representative to bring that up to the group when we meet.
And just one quick follow-up on that one, Madam Chair, thank you. So looking at that situation, I think what wasn't unique is that we had a bicycle lane that is, I think, 5 feet wide. There's 7 now. It's a substandard now. But those bicycle lanes are not suggested for middle or elementary school use at all. So that's something I think we need to get out there, that if you're using those bicycle lanes that are on the pavement, those are really for our triathlete over here, Mr. Sanchez, or if Ann Gerwig wants to make a move to become more active physically. Those are for adults to use for transportation, and we are known, most of us, are known for making better decisions about those things than our students. So I just want to make sure that that is a standard policy throughout the district, that those bicycle lanes within pavement on the roadways are not at all for our students' use. But I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yep. No, we've been trying to do more to advocate for both walking, we see walk or roll to school, bike safety. We've put out some more information. We have an annual event where we work with the county and Department of Transportation to kind of showcase the importance of that. But yeah, we're in support.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Tendridge, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a series of questions as well.
You're recognized for a series.
Thank you. Piggybacking off of Senator Berman's questions, do you know what the income requirements are for free or reduced lunch?
No, I'm sorry, I do not have that off the top of my head. I think yeah, I can get that information though.
Thank you. And also with the SNAP cuts coming in November, is the school district taking any precautionary efforts to support those students? Because I know countless number of students and families rely on those benefits. Additionally, I went to do a tour of Lake Worth High, and I saw the great work that Children's Home Society is doing, but even their pantry may not sustain the needs of those cuts. So just curious to see if there's any efforts on the school, from the school board on making sure that our kids don't go hungry when they go home.
Well, we can help be a purveyor of information, to help guide our parents on how to apply, and we'll be doing that. Probably it hasn't been as much of an issue for us because of the ability to be able to provide the free breakfast and lunch, but we'll be probably more focused on that with the upcoming school year. There's a benefit to it, though, also beyond that, just for our funding and federal funding with Title I and all that. We need people to. It helps us when people that are eligible for these benefits apply, because then they're recognized and it feeds into the funding formulas for Palm Beach County.
Thank you. Also, do you happen to have the current number of McKinney-Vento students here in Palm Beach County at the moment? McKinney-Vento students are students who are homeless in our district.
Wasn't it like 5,200 or?
It's a large number. It fluctuates throughout the year, but it can be as high as 6,000, what we consider homeless students. I don't know if that perfectly aligns with McKinney-Vento's designation, but we have about 5,000 to 6,000 students a year that experience homelessness, and it can be different forms of homelessness, like either on a couch with a friend, or living in a car, or maybe going from motel to motel. It's a major issue.
Follow up. Also, you mentioned that human trafficking is becoming a bigger concern outside of posters and the current legislation. Do you have any other recommendations for the legislature on how to tackle that?
Well, the legislature has tackled it with requiring now training, so we're going to have to train all of our staff this year. And they tasked the Department of Education with creating that training course by December 1st. So we're waiting for that to come out, and then we'll make sure that we comply. So I think that's a good first step, is trying to equip our staff where they can detect some of the warning signs that help us identify and get people help.
And last question. I didn't see much about the mental health needs for the students here in our district. What are your mental health needs? Moving forward, mental health is a huge crisis now, and we have a lack of providers and access to psychiatrists and providers here in our county. What needs do you have to address some of the mental health concerns for our students? I know we've done a lot to support them now, but I do know the need is rising.
Yeah, well, we've done a lot. We're very fortunate, and I mentioned the referendum earlier. That allowed us to shore up. So we have those behavioral health professionals in all of our schools. We do what we call MTSS, which is like multi-tiered systems of support, and we address students based on their need. So it can be as simple as a sit down with a school counselor. Mike, looks like you're having a bad day. What's going on? And maybe it's one conversation's enough. We also have students that have more pressing needs or dire needs, or even some students that we may end up having to Baker Act. And then we do have the ability to get them into ongoing therapeutic care. We have what we call co-located therapists, where we partner with roughly 30 different mental health care providers in Palm Beach County, and they're co-located in our schools, and they can provide some of that ongoing therapy. So as with most things, it comes down to money. We know what we need to do. Thanks to referendum, we're able to do a lot more than most districts. And if the legislature and the governor have made a priority of putting more money into mental health each year, I would recommend that continues.
Thank you. Before I go around for a second round, I want to make sure Rep. Tendrich got her question asked about SNAP benefits. So the concern is that in November, those benefits are ending. And when you say that you're able to help families apply, can you explain what they are applying for if they're no longer, they're still eligible for benefits, they just won't be receiving them? Are there resources in the county that you're helping them apply for? Is that more? Okay, thank you.
Well, as far as the food that we're able to provide through our school food service program, we're in good shape for this year. We're going to continue to provide free breakfast and lunch. We partner with local food banks. We have some food pantries throughout some of our schools. I know that's been a priority of our board members. Ms. Whitfield's done a lot of work in that area. So we're able, in some schools, students can kind of discreetly pick up a package of food to take home with them for the weekend. And there's always room for more of that. This federal issue of the SNAP benefits maybe stopping because of the shutdown is kind of outside of our purview. I'm not really, I can't say I'm doing anything to help with that. What I'm looking forward or looking ahead to is that as we have schools that are no longer CEP eligible, because of the declining eligibility for SNAP benefits, it's kind of like a byproduct that we're going to do everything we can to steer those families to the application process for free or reduced breakfast and lunch. And we're adept at doing that. That's how we operated for most of our history until we've had, since the pandemic, we were able to do this whole CEP program. It's been great, but we're going to kind of have to start working back towards the old methodology.
Thank you. Did that answer your question? Great. And Peggy Gossett-Seidman, Representative Gossett-Seidman, you're recognized.
Thank you very much.
When it's red, it's on. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it is.
Back to the topic of homelessness, I did have a report from a couple of constituents that one of the high schools in my district is experiencing what they consider a high number of homeless students. Could you perhaps explain the definitions of it as you look into it, and are there any options for these students to stay, say, on the grounds, as some big boxes allow RVs to park? What are we doing to address that, and how can we help in any way?
One of the things I'm proud of, and our Chief of Student Health and Wellness, Mr. Keith Oswald, he has worked with our various community partners to create a dashboard, right, that we can share that kind of shows where we have homeless student populations, so that we can try to leverage whatever community resources are out there. The McKinney-Vento law, which is a federal law, requires that if a student is experiencing homelessness, we must allow them to continue to go to their home school if that's their choice. So if homelessness means that they now live with an aunt or uncle maybe and they're outside their school zone, we provide the transportation to make sure they're trying to limit any disruption to minimize the disruption to their life, right? And so they have that option of just trying to keep them in their same school, shoring them up with more transportation. And then we have a homeless liaison that works as part of our team. We have one staff member, and they help bridge that, make that connection from the schools to the different agencies in Palm Beach County that are trying to help with homelessness and trying to find a family shelter and that type of thing. So I'm not sure if I'm fully answering your question, but we do have some resources in place. We've worked really hard to compile all this data so that it can be shared with the folks that are able to help, and then trying to just, again, we as a school district making that connection.
Okay, thank you. I'll get a hold of Mr. Oswald down the road if we need to be so. Thank you.
Yeah, he'd be happy to help. And he's right over there, gentleman in a red tie.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Representative. Ms. Whitfield, you're recognized.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to answer a couple of the questions, if I can, that I have the ability to. First of all, I just looked up using our dashboard, which I'm exceptionally proud of. I'm so thrilled that the school district put it together. So for Representative Tendrich, our current numbers right now are 2,674. As of last night, we update every night on that dashboard. About 130 of those are truly homeless without a home, probably living in a car or park right now. So that's a significant number for right now. We start with 0 at the beginning of the year. We work our way all the way to the end of the year, and we count how many kids we can find, and we'll be most likely over 6,000 again this year, maybe even higher, depending on how things are going. As far as the SNAP program, that I did get the numbers for you on how much it would be, not for SNAP, sorry, for free and reduced lunch. So it's a family of 4 making $32,150 is the federal poverty guidelines. I need to look at it a little bit more, but so she said for free it would be $48,945 for a family of 4 for free lunch within our system. So it's a pretty low number. With the SNAP program, we have been experiencing people just not signing up for SNAP, even though they are eligible and it is available. So we'll be working with the food bank to actually go into our schools to provide SNAP coordinators to assist our families to make sure we get those numbers up. We have until February to get our numbers in. That would impact next year's numbers. So if we can get enough families to sign up for SNAP or WIC or any federal program and get under those guidelines. If we can get them done by February, we can still hold on to free and reduced lunch through the CEP program for free for everybody next year. And so it's really going to be dependent on that. So we're really needing a community effort to work towards that. And then one other question that I had down here from Representative Gerwig about the bike situation. We do have a bike trailer on our school system that we can send to schools so that we can do trainings. And I know following the Woodlands incident, they definitely went there and they've talked to the students and they have talked about bike safety. There's just one trailer in my understanding. So to be able to get that out, obviously more community support around that would be helpful. But we do have the ability to do trainings with our PE teachers to really talk to students about the best way to bike and walk to and from school. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ms. Whitfield. Representative Edmonds, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know you all come up to Tallahassee during January for Palm Beach County Days. I have a few bills that I hope you guys can pass around the Capitol that you all can support. Historically, me and Senator Berman did the VPK bill where we wanted to move from 3 hours to 8 hours, but we figured out that costs about $250 million. And so the route I'm taking this year with Senator Osgood is to increase the reimbursement for the VPK providers, which is a lot less expensive. My second bill is the teacher's pay bill. As you know, this will be my 4th year running this particular bill, trying to increase the base salary to $65,000, and that's without the incentives that you all offer here in the district. And last but not least is the Firearm Safety Awareness Month bill. As you all know, we have open carry here in the state of Florida. More likely that may not be going anywhere. So this is going to be a bill to help educate our residents on the new laws and how to be safe around firearms. So I hope you guys can support that while you're in Tallahassee. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Edmonds. Senator Berman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I want to go into what I thought was one of the worst bills that was passed last session and how it will impact you and what you all are doing about it and what to give us some advice also. And that is the bill about co-location into the school districts. What I would like from you, I want to hear what you as superintendents and as are going to be doing in Tallahassee on that. And what I would like is information about problem areas for you. Like you mentioned the bell schedule, but you're going to have shared who gets priority for lunch facility, who gets priority for PE facilities. How does the buses work? What if some of these schools are year-round? Are you required then to open up your schools year-round to allow them to function there? How the maintenance will work. So I know we were all a lot of us were disappointed that that was done at the last minute. We were told that it would only be done for schools that were D and F schools, and that is not the way it happened in the end. It's for every school now. So anything that you can give us and let us know how you think. And also I understand there were some letters written in to other school districts mentioning specific schools that the Schools of Hope are talking about. Have we had any of that in Palm Beach County? And just would like to start that discussion because I think it's really important that we understand going forward about that.
Absolutely. I know, we work with Capital City Consulting, Ron LaFace, Megan Fay, and they work with also FADS, which is the Superintendent's Association, And they created a pretty comprehensive list of logistical challenges, like 20-plus pretty significant challenges of that, how you operate 2 schools on 1 campus. So I'd be happy to share that. We are working to, with our schools, we have a limited number of schools, thankfully, that are potentially fall into those categories of persistent and low performing, which the law changed last year on that too, how the criteria was changed. So now we're having maybe a couple schools that are considered persistently low performing, but now there's 250 plus across the state, and they can be A or B schools and still fall into that definition. We want first to fill our schools up with our own students and not even have to worry about co-location, but we do have some vulnerabilities. We're looking at potentially, we talked about VPK and how important that is. There may be some opportunities for us to lease a portion of our space to a high-quality VPK provider, and we feel like that would serve our students well. So we're looking at those things. I guess so you want me to share the challenges the co-location provides? Oh, and as far as the letters, no. So there were a bunch of letters, sent to my colleagues around the state. They were sent by Mater Academy, which is run by the Academica Charter School Management Company. I have not received any letter to date. Now, I understand that the rulemaking doesn't take effect until November 11th. So I've been advised by FADS that any letter we get from November 11th forward, we will need to respond to. And there is some ability for us to object if we can make a good argument as to why we don't believe co-location would fit on that campus. And one of my concerns with it is when they look at the capacity, they're looking strictly at like our fish reports, what the school was built for, and we need to make sure that they're taking into account the programs that are currently being offered at those schools. Because if you have a pre-K program, that may not be recognized. Or if you have a school that has a large ESE population or program, many times those classrooms could be built for 25 students, but we're serving 9 to 10 students because we have 2 or 3 adults work in the room providing different therapy and services. So we'll be on the lookout for those letters, and then if we get them, we'll have to evaluate them case by case. We'll be on the clock to respond with any potential objection. And thanks.
Members, before I turn the meeting over, I'm sorry. The school board chair is going to recognize her members. So Representative Weinberger, you're recognized. And also members and senators, Representative Edmonds gave me a great idea. If you have priorities that you think could be important to the school board in your bills that you're filing this year, please let me know and I'll recognize you to talk about those priorities.
Thank you so much. And I have been working closely with some of your staff, so thank you for everybody accommodating. I appreciate the insight and helps it to make sure that we can implement the bills that are passed. So a constituent recently reached out regarding recess, and her child is not going out often, and I guess the response was because of the heat index. I grew up in Florida, so somehow we survived. But what are we doing when what is the standard, and also what's the protocol notifying the families and so on and so forth? I just think it's so important for us to get out and get those kids out to play. So.
Yeah, I don't disagree. The issue there, and fortunately we're starting to get into the time of year where it's becoming less of an issue for us. But when we start school in August and September and it's still brutally hot, there's legislation in place that when the heat rises, the heat index hits a certain level, that we're not permitted to go outdoors. So the substitute for that is indoor recess and taking advantage of the hallways or even the classroom. And we want the students to get up, get active, get moving around, get some level of recess. Some of the concerns I had taken earlier in the year where parents felt teachers were not doing a good job with that maybe they were still too sedentary in their classrooms. So we've kind of just reinforced the messaging with our principals to, hey, if you can't get outside, then make sure you're doing something that resembles recess inside your facility. But we're kind of caught between 2 laws there with the recess requirement and then the Zachary Martin, that was there to protect anyone from having a health emergency or tragedy.
Interesting. All right, one more. Thank you so much. I look forward to learning more about that and what we can do if there's a fix. Honestly, maybe there's a happy medium somewhere, so maybe that's another conversation. Also, Landon's Law, which I'm so glad that you're running that bill. I had, I know the family, the grandmother, and had obviously spoke with them, and I had also spoke with FDOT, and they have like a standard that they suggest for the schools for bike paths, but it's not necessarily something that they implement. So, how do you guys decide? What is a safe bike path? I mean, is it just per each school? Is it the district? Or because if FDOT has a recommendation, but we don't have to accept it.
Yeah, it's well, we work really closely with the county government. We build schools. We build the school, and we collaborate on the entrances and how the roadways and how people access our schools. But we only have so much ability to. We're not really building bike lanes or roads or sidewalks and all that stuff. So it takes collaboration. We do work really closely with Palm Beach County. We have a group, Mr. Sanchez and his team, that meet monthly to just try to address any issues that are arising. Typically, with schools generally bring traffic around arrival and dismissal times, and some of it's unavoidable, but we just really try to vet those issues and do the best we can in working with our community partners.
So is Mr. Sanchez's team responsible for the bike paths? Okay, so how is that?
No, we're responsible for the schools, and the county and the cities provide and the DOT provide the roadways that get to the schools.
Now, I spoke with, and I think we need to maybe have a meeting, because when I spoke to FDOT, they said that they just suggest the bike paths, and then you guys decide what to do. So some sort of miscommunication.
So, Rep. Weinberger, are you talking about the bike path for the students, not the bike path that is on the roadways? So the specific bike path that is adopted by the school for students who are arriving to school by bicycle, not the part that FDOT has control over.
I guess I'm struggling with this question because we only kind of own the land our school sits on. And,
no, but there's places for, I walked some of the schools, and like I said, I grew up in South Florida also. There are places, and if kids are not allowed to take the bike or the bus if they live within a certain distance, so now they're required to walk or take a bike. So then it would be the school's responsibility to make sure whatever path that they are on is safe. And since they're not forced to do something, you have that choice. So I'm just asking, like I said, FDOT suggests they have a plan, but they don't force it. So I'm not talking about like the adult bike path. I'm talking about what we are for our children bike path.
Right. So in Florida, we do have, as far as transportation, there is this 2-mile requirement. If students live beyond 2 miles from the school, we're required to provide transportation. Within 2 miles, the parents can drive them, walk, ride their bike. But we are not building bike paths, or we're not marking up the county's roads or the city roads saying, hey, we're going to carve out our own lane here for our kids. We have to work with our families to coach them on bike safety and walking safety, and we collaborate closely with the cities and county, but it's beyond our responsibilities.
All right, Representative Tendrich, let's hear your priorities.
Okay, I actually have a Title VI bill that I'm working on to create statewide coordinators for K through 12, then also for higher ed. And I am working with Senator Polsky on that, so I'm excited to bring that forward. And hear once the bill is out of bill draft, I'd like to send it your way and get your thoughts on it. I'm also working on a pediatric mental health bill, which will help with early detection and intervention, which would be imperative for our students. And actually, with our board member, Erica Whitfield, we're working on funding for a pool because Lake Worth lost a community and a school pool. And so we're looking to make sure that those students have access to a community pool. So, and I think she'll expand on that a little bit more, too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Gerwig, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a couple things I'm working on. One of them, I don't think I'm going to file the bill because I was told about I don't know, over half of the reps have brought it up. The sales tax holiday, the school supply sales tax holiday, comes at a time that's a little bit late for our moms and our dads and our providers. So I am interested in your thoughts of moving the sales tax holiday from July 20th to April 20th, to August 20th, which would still be 30 days. But I know the numbers are confusing. It's easier to just say 1 month. But school starts very early. So the moms were complaining to me, my friends, that they could use a little bit more time to get those school supplies together. So that I've been told that that's been brought up by many, many members. So I won't have to use the bill slot for that. But I think it'll be worked on. So your input on that timing of what works for you.
Our first day of school is typically August 12th, or within a day or two of that. So I think that makes sense. I know families don't want to wait till the last minute. The store shelves go bare. The selections dwindle. So I think maybe putting a little more time on the front end of that August 12th school start date would make sense.
And statewide, I looked at it, and the earliest county school that started was August 6th. So, again, you had like 5 days for those folks. So I think it's going to get done, and I just would appreciate any input.
Okay.
One other
Let me
thing.
just ask one quick question, Rep. Gerwig. Do the schools have their lists available for parents on those dates? The list of supplies that are required for the classrooms? Because that might...
I believe, well, that was brought up, but I believe it's well in advance of that, the dates I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because that was a concern, that was a question of why did they do it that way? Maybe that's the date that they can get the information, but they said no, and it's not a new process, so I'm hoping we can get it to be more user-friendly with our residents, make them happier. And one other thing I'm working on, teacher recertification. The process can be confusing for teachers whose certification has lapsed. I've had several reach out to me, including family members of legislators who have tried that process and just given up and walked away. And when we have people who were involved in teaching and maybe got away from it because they couldn't afford to live on teacher pay, and now they can, and they want to come back in and engage in this process, they're just giving up and walking away. So I want to make sure it's clearer for them to know what's needed and that they can do it while they're teaching and have a connection with the schools over that. So any input you give me on that would be very much appreciated. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And let's welcome Senator Bernard. Senator Bernard, if you would take a minute to describe your districts, introduce any staff you might have with you, and we are currently talking about any education priorities as bills that we are wanting to talk with the school board about.
Good morning, Mac Bernard, State Senator for District 24. This is probably my 4th event for this morning, so please forgive me for being late. I'm just happy to be here this morning. District 24 starts in the town of North Palm Beach, and it covers a little bit of Palm Beach Gardens, and it goes all the way down to the Boynton Beach line. I'm just happy to be here to hear some of the most pressing issues for the school district this year. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I think that's it. Just one last call. Any members or senators want to discuss priorities? Representative Gossett-Seidman, I didn't see your card up there. You're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam. 2 things to bring up. I wanted to point out, in case you hear of this next year, but I got 2 calls from constituents who noted that the sales tax holidays were not being honored by one particular online vendor, and they had proof based on receipts. And so I called our CFO in Golia right away, and he put someone on it. So if we need to be vigilant about that next year, it was a big vendor. So we could all be aware of that. And secondly, I hope to file a bill which would, we've discussed with Ms. Brill there, pertaining to the PE credits and allowing those students who engage in Special Olympics specifically to utilize those as PE credits. I think we're still trying to work out a few details, like do you run one race and then that's your whole year's credit versus do you compete every other weekend? So we've got that to work out, but I'd be honored to hear anyone's input. It would seem to be fair that since students in marching band, and that for sure is, that might exceed sometimes the actual sports event, what the band members put out in physical exertion. So that would be, I'd be grateful for anyone's input on that. Thank you.
Thank you, members and senators. I appreciate all of that input, and thank you, Madam Chair. We appreciate the conversation with you.
Thank you. So we're going to move to our board members, and thank you, Representative Gossett-Seidman, because that's going to lead into my first comments to open this up. But first, I know we have a lot of very important people in the room, but one special person I want to recognize is Ms. Rita Solnit, who is our federal lobbyist, and also she's our boots in the ground that helps with these bills that all of you are working on and coordinating with them. So we just want to recognize Ms. Solnit and thank her for her hard work. She's always willing to help all of us. And so, yes, so thank you. And so now, before I go around with all my board members, I did want to recognize Senator Berman as well as Representative Gossett-Seidman for their work on the revision to Florida Statute 1003.4283A, which is the bill having to do with physical education. Something near and dear to my heart, as everybody knows, I'm an advocate for our students with disabilities, and this grew out of parents who came to me that even though we have adaptive PE, it's sometimes a big struggle for them. And having a child who, when he was young, participated in Special Olympics every week. They went and they practiced, and then they had their events. I think this is a very nonpartisan, feel-good bill, and so I thank both of you for moving that forward. I think that's something that, you know, we're always asking for money. We never have enough, but this is something that doesn't cost us anything, so thank you. I'm going to go around the room to my board members. I know they'll want to talk about some of the priorities that we have that are near and dear to their hearts, and perhaps ask some of you questions, and so we're going to start with Ms. Branch.
Thank you, Chair Brill. I wanted to talk about the free and reduced lunch, and I've talked to Mr. Burke about this. We've talked about it on the dais. When I was substitute teaching every day, all grades, and now even when I'm volunteering, there's a lot of wasted food because the Department of Health, I believe it is, they require to take, you know, a juice and a milk, and it's, I think they used to have a table where like Boca Helping Hands or what have you in my school district would come pick it up. So I think, you know, everybody gets free and reduced lunch, and some kids bring their lunch and they're still getting lunch because they're required to. So we really need to look at that because there's a lot of waste, a lot. And I know Mr. Burke and I have talked about that, and I know other board members have also. So I just want to put that on your radar. That was kind of a big, I think back in the day they were able to put it at a table, and now I don't think they can. I don't know, Senator Berman, if you. So I just kind of want to put that on everybody's radar because, you know, you offer free and reduced lunch to everybody. Some kids are bringing their lunch and they're getting food and they're not eating it. So it's a concern for me because it's a lot of waste just in general for the school district, but overall, we could maybe be giving that stuff to Boca Helping Hand or other food kitchens, et cetera. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, I appreciate it. We are working with our school food service team to try to curb some of that waste and do the food sharing tables. And
does Department of Health require, I believe that was
the
part
Department
of the
of
problem.
Department of Agriculture.
Okay.
They require that free meal to be a well-balanced meal. So, you know, there's
Right.
a fruit, a juice, you know, a milk, well, it's milk or juice, but there's like 4 or 5 components, and sometimes the students aren't interested in eating all of those.
Right,
But
and
for us,
they have
for
to
us
take it,
to
right?
get credit, to get reimbursed
Yeah.
for the meal, we have to provide the
Right.
complete healthy meal, and then it's a matter of, you know, recovering the banana that doesn't get eaten or the apple and that type of thing. So it's an ongoing challenge. It is, you know, you're not the first to raise the concern that we're seeing too much food get tossed, and we're always trying to look at creative ways to maybe, again, curb that waste.
Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that out there to everyone because it's something we should really look at. I did have someone call me, Weinberger, about the recess, one person call. When I was a substitute, I was like, let's go on a scavenger hunt. Let's go outside and, you know, find rocks and what have you. So I think maybe just talking to the teachers more and maybe trying to get them up and running, not have them sit in front of a screen because we didn't want to do that. So, but luckily it's only for a couple of months. Usually it's, August, September, it's pretty hot out there. But anyway, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Whitfield.
Thank you so much. First, I want to thank everyone for coming today. I think this is wonderful to have you all here. I'm really grateful you came to see our building and to listen to us about our concerns, and I look forward to seeing you in Tallahassee, at least at Palm Beach County Days. I know we're all going to go to that. A couple of things I wanted to mention, just from things that have been said and things that I think are priorities. I love the idea of moving the sales tax holiday up. I just have to jump on that because as a mom, I went to go shopping and I waited for sales tax, and there was basically nothing left, including clothes. Like really hard to find jean sizes after the sales tax started because jeans were also. So there were so many things that you could purchase that you just couldn't fit in. So I think moving it up would be wonderful before everything is sold out. I did want to piggyback on what you were saying about the pool. This is such an important issue to me. We have funding that has been contributed from the school district to replace the pool. We have funding that the city of Lake Worth Beach has allocated for the pool. I know we have a lot of support on the school board for this as well, but I do think that we need additional funding, and so we will be trying to see if we can get that from other sources, potentially the legislature, but also people in the community. I think it is crucial that we have the ability for our kids to learn how to swim in the central part of the county. I wanted to just mention my favorite one, as always, is pre-K, VPK funding. I think when you look at the state of Florida, you see everyone's concerned about reading scores, and you look at the schools, we're doing better than many urban districts with our reading scores, but still on average around the entire state, we're at about half of the kids reading on grade level when we, at third grade when we're looking. And those numbers are just really small when you think about it. 1 in every 2 kids reading on grade level is not enough. And I think one of the best ways that we can truly make an impact is by getting kids into VPK early. So when we look at students who have not participated in VPK, they're showing up to our kindergartens just behind from the first day. And that is frustrating for our teachers, and it really is not contributing to children reading on time. So I think to be able to really support the state as a whole, this is a place to put money to really focus getting kids into school system early, and it will pay dividends in our economy. It's going to pay dividends in seeing our students with their reading scores and then their ability to get jobs later in life. So it's going to impact everything. I think it's the biggest thing we can do in education in the state of Florida, and so we will continue to ask for it because we think that this is the thing that we can do that is going to change the state of Florida. And then other than that, I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Vice Chair Andrews.
And thank you all for being here this morning. It's important that we have these meetings, but I must tell you, when I see you out in the community and we connect because you're on the ground looking at our needs as a school district, I truly appreciate it. First, I want to say to Representative Gurwick, you are awesome. The start times was a big deal for all of us. We worried, the parents worried, and you made it happen. But we saw you out in the community, and you said, I'm going to make this change. And Representative Weinberger, I see you everywhere in the Glades, and I talk about you all the time because coming here is good, but we need to be on the ground talking to each other each and every single day. And I'm really concerned about the bike paths and the children walking to and from school. I just had an opportunity to walk to school with Wellington Elementary just recently, and the kids walking. So many children are on their bikes or walking, and it's rough out there, and sometimes the people don't pay attention. So with the county, with the cities, with the school board, as well as the state, we've got to figure out how to get that corrected because we surely can't have that problem again. And I'm really concerned about mental health. I mean, we have out of the pandemic, but we're still suffering. Our children still have a need. This is why all over the country there's a big attendance problem, and with things that's happening within the communities and across the country, country, we've got to make sure our children are safe. And when we hear things that's happening and they're getting impacted, mental health, Mr. Oswald, your work here in the district has been phenomenal with the behavior specialists in these rooms, co-located services, but the parents and the communities need to know what we're doing, and we have to go to the homes and talk to the parents to let them know that their children are going to be okay. We want them in school, and we don't want them to leave the Palm Beach County School District. And the cell phone policy was a big deal. It just rolled very smoothly within the Palm Beach County School District and the elementaries, the middle schools. It's keeping our kids safe, and it's also keeping a focus on academic achievement and out of the telephone, so the cell phone. So that has been a big deal. So I think all of these pieces are good. With the SNAP benefits, we have a wonderful school food service department here within the school district of Palm Beach County, and certainly we have to follow the federal guidelines. But you know, our school food service representatives come in at 4 o'clock in the morning. They have breakfast ready, lunch, as well as on holidays to do the things necessary for children to eat. So we just have to follow what is going on within our abilities to do things to make sure that the children are fed. Families know that the school board is going to make sure that their children are fed. And lastly, I want to say that West Tech has been great for all of you, because you started almost 10 years ago looking at Palm Beach County School District and how we can make sure that all of our children are college and or career ready with technical skills and technical schools. And you brought the bacon home each time. So when we look at West Technical Education Center, North Technical Education Center, we have South Tech, which is a conversion charter, plus our Delray Full Service Center. I'm inviting all of you to take a walk through to see the progress that we have made. You're going to say, wow, we're doing it, because it's really important for all of our children to be academically ready, but also to be able to say that I can walk into the world and be a success. And that's what you all have been doing with us over the years. So thank you for your work. I continue to work with you in Tallahassee, right here at home, and my phone and your phone calls will make a difference for us to make sure students are successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson.
So again, I want to reiterate what my other colleagues have said. Welcome to the Palm Beach County School District. I think this is the first time that we've actually had this here since I've been here, so this is quite refreshing. I only have a few things that I want to discuss with you all, and Board Member Whitfield touched on one already. I'm really a huge advocate for early education. Kids who start behind tend to stay behind, and she pretty much said that in her own way, so I won't belabor that point. I know that Rep. Edmonds stated that it's a fiscal issue in terms of trying to have kind of universal pre-K for our students, but we still need to kind of continue to chop at that tree to figure out what ways we can help kind of shrink the number of students who are not properly prepared, because the data is the data and it's uncontroverted at this point. If you're not starting school prepared, it's very challenging for you to meet those metrics. Ms. Gerwick, Rep. Gerwick stated that she secured some sort of certification from North Tech, but while you were a student at North Shore, correct? Yes, I thought I was listening. Yeah, I thought I was listening to you actively there. So yeah, we want that to kind of be the standard for a greater number of our students. If not 100%, 98, 99, 97, I think we just have to really kind of work on that as far as that goes. School safety, that's something that I also have been very much a proponent of since the tragedy at Stoneman Douglas. We have metal detectors here in the high school level, but it was my hope that we would have them at the middle and elementary school level as well. And it does occur to me, it seems to me, that part of the reason that we're not able to do it, obviously that we don't have the finances, and we don't have the finances in part because of these vouchers that we are continuing to push across the state and across the country. I think it's bad business for us as a state and as a country to continue to partition public schools. Your spending power goes down. I think that means the overall value of your educational experience is going to be diminished. It also increases the risk of dangers on campuses. Open carry is not the reason for that. I mean, again, we didn't have open carry at any point before now. We had what happened to Stoneman Douglas. I don't believe there was open carry in Colorado. There was no open carry in Connecticut, so I don't want to conflate things. But I do think that we need to be much more active in terms of protecting our most precious resource, which is our students when they're in our public schools. And make no mistake, Palm Beach County School District is the overwhelming best choice for the greater majority of students here in Palm Beach. So to the extent that we continue to try to siphon off dollars for these small charter schools, I just think that that's very un-Floridian, definitely very un-American. So to the extent that you all, irrespective of your political party affiliation, to the extent that you all are concerned about the future of our residents here in Florida, I would strongly encourage you to put more safety measures and protocols in place to make sure that these vouchers aren't just simply, again, resulting in the partition and exiting of monies that we could better use. I mean, our record is our record. Again, I don't think anyone can say that there's any charter school that performs better than the Palm Beach County School District over the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I think that, again, is uncontroverted. And I think the greater majority of the school districts, particularly here in South Florida, I think they also can meet the test in terms of, are we providing a better education experience for the students on average compared to any charter school that you want to bring in from wherever. So I'm pretty passionate about that, and I'm going to stop talking now. Again, it was always great. Always great to see you all. I hope to have a chance to see you all and talk to you in Tallahassee, and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Savallero.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. So many familiar faces all around. Thank you again. So I have a few things, of course. Bike path and woodland tragedy. So I'm going to combine them both. I've been talking to Mr. Burke for a few months about starting a campaign, something called Starts at Home, catchy, se empieza en casa. We can do that in Haitian too. We need, so I utilize my son, he's 14. He's now a freshman in Forest Hill High School, and I use him as a guinea pig, right? So I ask him about things he's heard or know, and he hasn't heard anything about safety when it comes to, maybe walking. And he never walks, but I always think, how about if one day he has to walk? So back in May, and Mr. Burke knows because I called him right after it happened, I couldn't even breathe. I live on Forest Hill and Havert Hill, so it was 2 o'clock. I was on Havert Hill heading to Forest Hill, so I was heading south. Not a lot of traffic, but Havert Hill can get very heavy. There were a few little boys walking from a school, and I'm thinking Pine Jog, which is like a mile away, but there they were, very tiny. One of them, I was driving, and one of them falls on the ground onto the street right away, because between the sidewalk, it was like this much grass, and the street. And I'm looking, thank God I was not on the phone, I didn't sneeze, anything. So I swore the kid bounced back up, but I couldn't breathe, because in a moment, I could have been one of those parents. Whether it was the kid's fault, it could have been me. It was far away from the school, so we can zone the whole entire county as a school zone. But we need to start something at the state level about education. Even the kids that don't walk need to know how to walk, because they're always that boy that's going to be a little more of a playful boy that may push and be funny, and all of a sudden the other one gets pushed too. And anyway, so all of that we need to consider in doing something at the state level where it brings our kids, the education of safety. Safety when you walk, when you bike, when you walk with others. I don't know what that entails, but we definitely need a system for that. Again, and I'm one of those people that could have hit a kid. That brings me to AI. I would love to see an application system that I know, because I work for the county, and some of you know I've been there for 20 years. Commissioner Wise has been leading AI at the national level as the co-chair for the National Association of Counties, and he and his team are doing great. One of the initiatives is to have a system where the person, the family, can fill out an application, and the AI system can say, oh, you qualify for this, for this, for this, because applications are very overwhelming. Not even for Hispanic families like my district, your district, State Representative Tendrich, but people that may not read and write, or they're single moms, again, like me, you don't have the time to be reading a lot of applications. So I would love to see a system that is friendly, that once you apply for one or just apply, the system tells you qualify for certain things. That would be amazing, because A lot of our families may not be applying just because also of fear. So, which I'll speak in a second, but fear of applying, put in your information. Maybe your kids were born here. They'll apply, they can get some, assistance, but you weren't born here. So we need an AI application system. VPK, everybody mentioned it, I lived it, right? Luca was 3, when he was 4 years old. I had to take him to, I wanted to take him to VPK, so I did from 8 to 11. So I took my lunch break at 11 a.m. to run to that school, pick him up, and take him to the babysitter and run back to school, to my work, excuse me. How feasible is that for everybody, right? So that was my lunch for the whole year. It was picking up Luca and taking him. Thank God I live on that Forest Hill corridor. The babysitter did too, so it worked, but it worked. I was very stressed out for a whole month. So Luca could get those 3 hours. So it's not just about the student getting the education, but think about the parents, right? That needs to take them and pick them up. So if we want them to be ready at 3rd grade, they need to be there the whole entire day. And a lot of people, I've heard people say, well, why are we going to subsidize something for the kids to sleep a nap? If some of the kids need to sleep a nap, the teachers are doing work. So we have to also think about teachers that are teaching VPK, and they probably need that 30 minutes of silence to concentrate for the rest of their day or the next day. So let's think outside the box. Let's talk to some people that have lived the VPK. It is, sorry to say, I ran for legislature, but if you don't know about VPK, talk to parents that have gone through VPK. If you don't know about special needs, talk to people like Chair Brill that has gone through it. Don't just please write legislature without having any experience, because it doesn't serve us. Lower attendance, yes. And I will talk about immigration. State Representative Tendridge was with me, and Commissioner Mac Bernard was with me back in January, February, when we sat on a Sunday before you both had to drive to Tallahassee in front of Carlos Maecha from CBS 12 in Espanol on a Sunday, 10 a.m. And I was in the middle of Mr. Bernard to my right. You were right here, and I was translating to the camera about what happened, all of that. And it was awful, because I had to translate, and then I had to get into all that emotional side, and I really appreciate it. I always talk about it, because then you had to drive 7 hours. But we can't ignore that immigration is a big factor. This is state level, I get it. But I've also talked to Congresswoman McCormick, and we need the help. I understand about immigration, but the fear that we are going through right now, we have not lived it before, and it is a big factor. We've had found a couple of kids that were there for a few days hiding in a closet because their parents were taken. We have recently a student whose mom was deported to her country, the dad was deported to his country, and then their kid was left behind here. So these are just 2 examples of hundreds. These are real fears. We're living them. We have to be compassionate. Unless you have not lived through immigration and that fear that causes of kids asking their parents, Mommy, what do I do if I come home and you're not there? Right? So these are real fears. So anything that you can do and speak up about it, please do, because like Mr. Burke said, we are, right now we have laws that protect the kids inside the schools. We cannot protect them outside. But we can live with that fear in our schools. Kids are now bullying other schools, saying, I'm going to call ICE on you. Bullying is bad enough for now to use ICE as another part of bullying. So there are a lot of things that immigration is causing right now that very dear to my heart, that we need all the allies just to see how awful it's gonna, mental health is gonna go up the roof, because it is a real fear. And that also has affected our adult education. We don't have that many parents going to study either English, and we've lost over 20-something positions here with people that had TPS, that were paying taxes and working because their TPS were taken away. So it is affecting us at all levels. and it's causing a lot of problems. So with all of that, again, we need a campaign for safety, an AI application for system for, eligible applications, VPK, which, and the lower attendance due to immigration, and that wraps it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lane.
Thank you. First, I'd like to say how wonderful it is to be with so many of my friends who I've known for so many years, and welcome. And I know that I've worked with Rep. Gerwig and Rep. Weinberger on a very important bill to preserve our AP and ACE funding. That was very important, and thank you for your help on that. Additionally, you can see how fortunate we are to have Mike Burke as our superintendent. That was an incredible presentation, and we are very, very lucky to have Mike as our leader. The priority that I have is career and technical education. 40% of our kids aren't going to go to college. At the same time, in the trades, carpenters, plumbers, electricians are aging out. And we as a board are working on making it so that we serve that 40%. We need to test them, we need to find out what their aptitudes are, and we need to make it so that when they graduate, they will have the skills that they need to immediately go out and get jobs. And when I shake hands with those people, I don't want to feel that I failed them. So that's something we're going to be workshopping coming up this week, and coming up with a presentation as to how we intend to accomplish that, and I'd appreciate any of your support on that. Finally, in terms of budgeting, I had an opportunity to teach civics at the Lake Park Library to the kids. And as part of that, I decided to let them feel what it's like to be a school board member. And I told them that we're 46th in the nation in per student funding. We are behind, thanks to Mr. Burke's presentation, we are behind Arkansas, Kentucky, and Louisiana in our funding. And I said, here's our situation. I have $100 to spend, and I need you to help me as board members and deputize you. My teachers need more money to live in Palm Beach County. It's very, very expensive. Do I give the money to them? My police officers need more money, or they'll go someplace else, and they need to be there to protect your children. My school bus drivers, my cafeteria workers, they're barely surviving. They desperately need the money. But I've only got $100. Who gets what? Thank you.
Thank you. So before I enter and give you my comments, I do want to take another moment out to recognize someone special in the room, and that is our board clerk, Tony Lynn Sinclair, who put this together for us and has been communicating with all of us. I know she gets embarrassed when we mention her, but I just want to say thank you very much for all that you do. So I'm just going to jump in with a couple of things that are on our priority list. I know that this one is a little bit touchy statewide, but it's Florida Statute 1003.22, those childhood vaccines. The childhood vaccines, almost everyone, if not everyone in this room has had childhood vaccines. And there are two exemptions, an exemption for religious beliefs as well as for health reasons. But I have to tell you, if you look around the country at the states that have eliminated vaccines, you hear about the illness, you hear about the deaths, and we need the herd immunity. It not only protects our students, it protects our teachers, it protects our employees. I know that it's not a topic that a lot of boards, school boards have been willing to talk about because they're afraid, to speak up, but I think it's very important to the safety of our community. Also, I just want to jump in on the human trafficking. We were ground zero for Jeffrey Epstein. So all of us know that it was our students that were abused, and we can do something in recommending action statewide. Back in the day, years ago, I know when you drive around, you see those bumper stickers, "How's my driving?" on our school buses. That came to me from a constituent. When we got, the board at that time agreed to put them on the buses. It's helped us tremendously in reporting any types of driving that is not acceptable. But that back then, it was Representative Irv Schlossberg who stood before the legislature and got that to be also recommended statewide for all the other school districts. So I appreciate you bringing it forward. My board has been totally supportive about having posters that are developmentally appropriate, QR code, number that students can call in private places, whether it's the restroom, the locker room. When you're sitting in a classroom and you're learning about human trafficking as a student, you're not going to take down a phone number with all your peers looking at you. So just to have the opportunity for students to get that information is critical. And then finally, to piggyback on what Mr. Lane said, I hear it all the time, the funding for our schools. We know we do not fund, the state does not fund our education system as well as we need. Our teachers, they struggle working multiple jobs. We don't have the funds to give them the type of salary that we would like to. My son is a school food service worker. He works 2 jobs. He's lucky if he breaks 30,000. I think he makes under 20,000, well under 20,000 as a school food service worker. I keep telling him one day, your mom is not going to be there to take care of you. You're going to have to find other ways and apply for higher jobs. But these people are the backbone of our school system. Our bus drivers, our maintenance workers, our school food service workers, our teachers, they're critical to our success. And so finally, in my closing, I too want to thank all of you for being here. It takes a village, and we are so lucky that our legislative delegation works so closely with our school district and our school board. All of you, I know, want the best for our residents and for our students, and we can't thank you enough. I know that when I travel around the state, there are other counties that are not like us, where people just actually hate each other. It's terrible. And yet we all work as a team because we know that we all have the same goals. So thank you very much. I'm going to turn the microphone back over to Representative Skidmore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to all the school board members for this great conversation and discussion. And to Mr. Ferguson, we used to do this all the time. I hope this is the start of reinstating this important meeting. The statistical data that we receive is important for us as we go about making our decisions in Tallahassee, and it is really important that we have some of that in our back pocket. So for those members and senators who didn't have a chance to speak or want to make some closing remarks, happy to recognize you, Senator Bernard.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Just want to comment regarding some of the presentations by the school board members. In regards to the pool, Board Member Whitfield, I hope that either the City of Lake Worth Beach, that we can file an appropriations during this session, so in that way we can assist the school district and the city to do this pool to help the central part of the county. In regards to the pre-K funding, universal pre-K is something that we do have to find ways to get the funding, and so I'm hoping that what we can do is in the future to do like a pilot program, but we would have to really bring the Children's Services Council, the business community to go to Tallahassee to try to create a pilot program, so in that way we can make sure that every kid get that opportunity to get that head start. In regards to the bike paths that was mentioned, I know that the county's doing their countywide transportation master plan, and I'm hoping that they're working with the school district, so in that way okay, perfect. So just want to make sure that the county's working with the school district to make sure as they're implementing that master transportation plan that the bike path is also addressed. In regards to AI, what I'm hoping is that, first infusing AI, within administration and also in the education system, what are the kids learning in regards to AI, and what I'm hoping, Board Member Lane, is that in regards to career technical education, I'd love to see that even when those kids graduate, that we can still have access to them, to track them, so in that way we can continue to provide the tools that may be necessary. And I think that we can use AI to eventually do that. So I think that these are great issues, and we look forward to, advocate for you in Tallahassee. And of course, the last issue that's weighing on our mind is the issue of property taxes. And so what I'm hoping is that whatever decisions that we make in Tallahassee, that we protect the school district levy in Tallahassee. So thanks.
Senator Polsky.
Thank you. I've been unusually quiet so far. Saving it up. No. I want to first start by saying I'm the proud mother of 2 students who went through the Palm Beach County public schools. Both of my children were in the medical academy, and my son is planning to become a doctor, and he's excelling in college right now. And, I think that that's where it all began. So, as Ms. Brill pointed out, Chair Brill, it's hard when we go to Tallahassee and we hear all this negative stuff about school boards and school districts, because we do. And that's why we don't have the funding we should have, and that's why we have this full voucher program, because every school district is not like yours. Every school district does not have the relationship with their delegation like we do. And this is my 8th year, and this is how it's been from the beginning. I felt very welcomed by the school board and worked with you all from, day one. So it's unfortunate, because now we all have to deal with that fallout. When something goes wrong in another part of the state, we all suffer from it. I also am very proud of all the areas that I've represented in those 8 years, because of redistricting and things, I've lost some of the areas in Palm Beach County that I used to represent, and I'm so proud of the Western districts. To hear how far some of the schools have come, it just really makes me very proud, and West Tech as well. Thank you, Rita. There's something I wanted to bring up that isn't for public schools, but I was so concerned to hear the Attorney General say that he has a problem with certain religious schools receiving voucher money, but not all. I think all religious schools should not receive voucher money, because there's a separation of church and state, but here we are. So I don't think it's right to say one shouldn't get our voucher money because he disagrees with their philosophy. And to be specific, he said Muslim schools. So as someone of the Jewish faith, I am extremely disappointed to hear that, and I think it's something that we all should be on the lookout for, that we all should, if we're going to be allowing all schools, to have the voucher money, then they should all not discriminate, but at the same time, they shouldn't discriminate against students, but that's what we're faced with. But at the same time, the state should not discriminate against a particular religion. So let's be on the lookout for that. I fully agree about the vaccines, and I think to all members of my delegation, especially those on the other side of the aisle, we need to fight this in Tallahassee. We need legislation to say that the Department of Health does not have the right to change the vaccine requirements. I think the ones that are embedded in the statute might be safe, because I don't think the legislature has the stomach to overturn those. But the ones that are part of the rulemaking authority by the Department of Health, that is not okay. And so it's going to be on us, and I'm looking at all of us, to fight it, and we may need to come up with legislation that stops them in their tracks, because vaccines should not be political. As a parent in a town hall I held the other night said to me, well, can we be informed if students in our students' class don't get the vaccines? And I said, I sincerely doubt that that would be, but you can be sure I'll do an amendment, and thank you for the idea. Imagine if you have an immunocompromised child and they're in school and other students are not getting the vaccines. And we know measles will come back. It was in Broward not that long ago. For the elderly, for those of us who have undergone cancer treatments, our immunities could be gone from the vaccines that we had as children. And so let's think about everyone on this, and let's do what we can as a legislature to make sure that we are keeping everyone safe, because it's a public health issue, not an individual rights issue, as far as I'm concerned. Ms. Savieto, thank you for describing what it's like to be an immigrant in this country and the fear. Thank you to the school district for protecting our students when they are under your control. I think it's just so pathetic that students are afraid to come to school. Public school is the gateway to the American dream, and isn't that what we want for people who want to come to our country? That they should come to school, that the adults should come and get the education that we are offering. And the legislation that we have passed on immigration and the attitudes that so many people have is what is contributing. So we all, as a delegation, can do better and support our immigrant community. And thank you so much for just continuing to run an A-rated school district and do so well. And I promise to do whatever we can to support you in Tallahassee. Thank you.
Representative Weinberger, you're recognized.
Thank you. I just have a quick question. So when, with AI, if I don't know who I should really direct it to, I have heard that you're able to kind of see where students are lacking utilizing AI. Do we do that in the Palm Beach County School, and so that they don't fall behind, but you're actually able to kind of target exactly where they're lacking?
Well, with AI, there's a couple parts, I guess, or a couple parts to my answer. We are bringing a new AI policy to our board November 5th. And it's not a lot of school districts have done that yet. It's still relatively new. So it's to make sure we use it like in an ethical manner, that we take advantage of it as a tool for our students to get knowledgeable about. And we've had a program in place for the last couple of years called Conmigo, which is a AI tutor, student tutor. There's also a teacher version. We're able to provide that to all of our middle and high school students, and that was made possible in large part by Dr. David Nicholson of the Stiles Nicholson Foundation. He's paying half the cost. But like to your question, as far as tracking students and how they're doing, we do diagnostic testing, and we have a lot of Power BI and dashboards, and Ms. Wyatt, our deputy superintendent, her team, our principal supervisors, we're constantly, the state has now gone to the progress monitoring testing, so we have, PM1, PM2, PM3. So we have a ton of data that we're using and we're crunching and looking to see, which students are on track, which ones are behind and need additional resources. We have not really brought AI to that yet. I do see that ability, and I think we're working towards that, but I would say we're still kind of dipping our toe in the water when it comes to AI, and we're trying to go about it in a safe manner. That was the attraction to Conmigo, because all of its content comes from Khan Academy, which was a kind of a trusted source of information, so we don't have to worry about the kids getting any misinformation. But our board's been very wise. They said we need a policy to make sure we're doing this the right way, and so we've been working on that. We've also have a strategic initiative on how we can use AI more, not just in our classrooms with our students, but also as a large business, as an over $5 billion entity, can we have a more effective customer service within HR, or transportation, you name it. So we are a client of ServiceNow, which you may have heard. ServiceNow is a leader in the AI space, and there was a big announcement. The governor was in town about a month ago to announce that they're going to be opening a big office right here in downtown West Palm Beach. So we're looking to partner with them. We'd love to see them sponsor one of our career technical education programs. And that's probably more than you wanted to hear, but it's an exciting topic. Thanks.
Any other members or senators? All right, I'm going to go, and then I'm going to recognize Superintendent Burke for his closing remarks. So in terms of AI, I think it's interesting that it is morphing exponentially month by month. So what was capable 6 months ago is now beyond that capability, and AI can actually write code, right? So an individual can just put in a prompt into Google. To your point, School Board Member Saviedo, you could literally put into a prompt that you want an app that can collate all the information on eligibility of resources based on the criteria. You can almost do it yourself now. So I say that to suggest that we have to be constantly improving and paying attention to the things that are changing for our students and available to our students, not just for the future, but for how they're learning and how they're writing, and how we can look at the interaction of those two things. The second thing I wanted to mention is Tri-Rail. As many of you know, my daughter Mary Alice was a Dreyfus graduate. Tri-Rail saved our life for her freshman and sophomore year. In fact, we often had to call the Tri-Rail office and help her friends find their instruments that they left on the train when they were in Miami. I just want to tell our delegation how important Tri-Rail is to the students in South County especially, and that we collectively support the continued funding. And then on a personal note, I have a dental screening bill. We were approached by some of the individuals who provide those screenings that there is not clarity with the school boards around the state, whether it is an opt-in or opt-out screening. So we want to make sure with the changes in fluoride throughout our state that students are able to get the screening and that it is an opt-out policy, and school boards know that they have that ability. So thank you very much, and Mr. Superintendent, I turn it over to you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. Well, hey, I appreciate the nice remarks that you've made, and I get to be the front man and brag about our district, but we have an amazing team, and I'd just like to introduce my colleagues here. So over to the front table there on the far right, in the blue suit there, that's Miss Jamie Wyatt. She's our Deputy Superintendent, Chief of Schools. Can you just give us a wave, Miss Wyatt? All right. And then next to Miss Wyatt is Dr. Yolanda Morgan. She's our Chief of Staff. Right behind Dr. Morgan there is Mr. Sean Cooley, our Chief of Strategic Communications. To his right is our General Counsel, Ms. Shantoya Bernard. And if that name sounds familiar, it is. She's also the wife of Senator Bernard. Ms. Bernard works directly for the school board, and she oversees the entire General Counsel's office. Back there's Mr. Keith Oswald in the red tie, Chief of Student Health and Wellness. And then swinging over to the back row there, I got Mr. Tim Kubrick, Chief of Human Resources. Ms. Rita Solnit was recognized earlier. She's our federal lobbyist. In front of Ms. Solnit is our Chief, Sarah Mooney, who's doing an amazing job leading our school police department. Next to Chief is Mr. Joe Sanchez. He's our Chief Operating Officer. Oversees all construction, transportation, food service, maintenance, you name it. In front of Joe is Ms. Teresa Michaels. She's our Inspector General. She also reports directly to the school board. And then you guys all know Ms. Vicki Nolan there, who made today possible along with Ms. Tony Sinclair. And I want to also recognize one of my colleagues over here to the right. To get that A rating, of course, it takes our teachers, it takes our school leaders, our support staff, and Mr. Gordon Longhofer is the head of CTA there. He represents all of our classroom teachers and also Florida State University with that beautiful tie. So there's just a couple closing thoughts. I brought with me the oldest book of Florida school law. So we take the work you do in Tallahassee very seriously. We abide by these laws. And this was the 2010 edition. And if you look at the thickness of it, it's 818 pages excluding the index. And I don't have the 25 version yet, but I have the 24. And if you look at the 2024 version, it's 1,330 pages. So over that 14-year span, we grew 512 pages, or 62%. So that's a lot of legislation. You're just putting them together, you can see the physical difference in the weight. And I just encourage you, don't feel compelled that we have to create another 500 pages. This is a lot. Each year when the session concludes, we kind of work all summer to make sure we're ready to abide by the new laws. But this is a lot of legislation. And if I was running a private school, I think I'd have about 15, 20 pages, not 1,300. So I also wanted to let you know we put a nice one-pager, your presentation that you saw today is in the folder, but we also have a nice little glossy one-pager that highlights all the board's legislative priorities. We'll be passing these around in the Capitol when we come up for Palm Beach County Days. And the main thing is, I know it's hard to hang on to all this paperwork, but just please reach out. I've had the benefit of working with some of you over the years. I'm happy to share my cell phone number. And if you're dealing with various issues, don't hesitate to call or text, and I'll get you the information. If I don't know it, I'll work with my team. We'll get you whatever information you need so that you can make the best decisions you can up there in Tallahassee. And we do truly appreciate you being here today. I know you didn't have to come. We welcome this partnership we have. I do think Palm Beach County is in a unique, great position that we have a lot of collaboration across the aisle, and that everyone values what we're doing for our students and our families. So again, just thank you for this opportunity.
Mr. Burke, I would like if your team can email your presentation to all the legislative delegation.
Absolutely. Well, co-chairs, that does it for me. All right, thanks.